He only came to surprise his son at lunch. But one sentence stopped him in his tracks. Ryan had been raising his 8-year-old son, Mason, alone ever since his wife passed away 4 years earlier. Every morning began before sunrise. He packed lunches, made breakfast, braided nothing but backpack straps instead of hair, and rushed from school drop-offs to long shifts as a mechanic. Life wasn't easy, but Ryan had one promise he never broke. No matter how busy I get, you'll never face life alone. One Friday afternoon, Ryan finished work earlier than expected. Smiling, he decided to surprise Mason by joining him for lunch at school. He carried Mason's favorite homemade chocolate chip cookies, signed in at the front office, and walked toward the cafeteria. As he reached the doorway, he froze. "I heard his dad can't even afford new shoes," one boy laughed. Another replied, "My mom says kids without moms are always weird." Then came the sentence that stopped Ryan mid-step. "Nobody wants to sit with Mason anyway." Ryan's heart sank. He looked across the cafeteria. Mason sat alone at a corner table, pretending not to hear the whispers while quietly eating his sandwich. Ryan wanted to rush over immediately. Instead, he took a deep breath. A teacher noticed him standing silently and gently explained that Mason had become quieter over the past few months. He never caused trouble, but he often spent recess alone. Ryan thanked her and walked to his son's table. Mason looked up in surprise. "Dad?" Ryan smiled warmly. "Mind if I join you?" The little boy's face lit up. For the next 30 minutes, they laughed, traded cookies, and talked about baseball, camping, and Mason's science project. Soon, several curious students wandered over. One asked Ryan if he really knew how to repair engines. Ryan grinned. "I can teach you sometime." Before long, the lonely table became the busiest one in the cafeteria. Children weren't gathering because of expensive clothes or popularity. They simply enjoyed being around someone who listened. After lunch, Ryan quietly spoke with the principal. He didn't demand punishment. He didn't ask for anyone to be suspended. Instead, he suggested something different. What if we start a monthly lunch where parents, grandparents, firefighters, mechanics, nurses, and veterans come eat with the kids? The principal loved the idea. The following month, the school hosted its first community lunch day. Dozens of volunteers showed up. Students sat beside people from different backgrounds, heard inspiring stories, and discovered talents they never knew existed. Something unexpected happened. Children who usually ate alone suddenly had someone beside them. Friendships began forming across every grade. Even the students who had teased Mason started seeing him differently after discovering how much he knew about fixing bicycles and building model airplanes with his dad. One afternoon, a classmate named Ethan walked over during recess. "Hey," he said awkwardly. "Want to be on our team?" Mason smiled. "I'd like that." Ryan noticed the change almost immediately. Homework was still challenging. Life was still busy, but the sadness in Mason's eyes slowly disappeared. Weeks later, the principal invited Ryan to speak during a family appreciation assembly. Standing before hundreds of parents and students, Ryan shared a simple message. "My son didn't need people to feel sorry for him. He just needed someone to remind him he wasn't alone." The gymnasium became silent. Ryan continued. "Kindness doesn't always require grand gestures. Sometimes it begins by asking one question." He smiled toward the students. "Would you like to sit with us?" The audience applauded. Months passed. Community lunch day became one of the school's favorite traditions. Bullying reports decreased. More students participated in clubs and activities. Teachers noticed quieter children becoming more confident. One afternoon, Mason walked out of school holding a handmade card. "Dad," he said proudly, "my whole class signed this." Ryan opened it. Inside, every student had written something kind. At the bottom, Mason had added his own message. "Thank you for walking into my cafeteria that day." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. He hugged his son tightly. Years later, Mason graduated as class president. During his speech, he told everyone about the afternoon his father unexpectedly walked into the cafeteria. "I thought he came to bring me cookies." The audience laughed. "But what he really brought me was the courage to believe I belonged." The crowd stood and applauded. Ryan realized that sometimes the smallest moments become the biggest turning points. He hadn't planned to change the school that afternoon. He had only wanted to share lunch with his son. But one act of love inspired an entire community to choose kindness over silence. If this story touched your heart, remember that a few kind words can change a child's life forever. Never ignore someone sitting alone, because your invitation may become the hope they've been waiting for. Share this story with someone who believes kindness belongs at every table, and subscribe for more emotional stories with unforgettable endings.